Hello viewers, Super GT here. I know I've said this a lot, but Dragon Trail Seaside, the Death Chicane, it's back, and this time it's truly horrific. Worse than I've ever seen it before, I would say, and that's quite saying something. Now into turn 1, just your casual double fatality, as it always tends to play out here at this circuit. And it wasn't long before we had another one, another double fatality, someone off in the wall, and someone off ghosted in the middle of the circuit. Now, I jumped into this race with zero practice, zero warm-up. Now, obviously we've played this track before, but it's not a good idea. It's just not advisable to jump in to the Death Chicane without any warm-up. I bundle this guy wide, not the greatest move, and as we approach the Death Chicane for the first time, the karma gods were obviously looking down unfavourably upon that shocking move. As here, boom, we've hit the curb. Before you know it, we're heading towards the Croatian barrier and doing a nice little 360 no-scope. On the next lap, I hit the apex so hard that, well, the Death Chicane fate befell upon me. I made it through on the third lap, but on the last lap, it was a disaster. 14th out of 14, dead last, somehow claiming the clean race bonus, which truly puzzled me. Now, decided, you know what, okay, we need to do some practice laps here, we need to warm up a little bit, and, well, you can see how that went. Anyway, jumping into race number 2, this guy at the start, he basically felt like, you know what, I've seen the fatalities and deaths around this place, I wish not to take part, and to be fair, that's a really sensible decision, fair play to him. But anyway, we are here in P15, starting this race at the back, and trust me, oh, there's someone off on the side. This race and the next one, I think the next one in particular, some of the most outrageous races I've seen in a while, and that's quite saying something. Anyway, a massive gaggle of cars here, all really primed for the taking, as we get two moves on the exit there, quite nicely done. But then a big group of 4 heading down towards the hairpin at the bottom of the hill, looking down towards the middle of the 2 Supras. Perhaps we could perform a nice old switcheroo, but going into the chicane, the Death Chicane, 3 abreast is just not advisable, just not sensible. Can we make it through here without dying of death? It seems as though we can, but the Irishman here, unfortunately, succumbing to a semi-death. I actually decided to go to the right-hand side there, which was a bit of a weird decision. Getting overtaken by the Portuguese driver around the outside. And they're actually gone so wide they're going to lose a lot of momentum on the exit. Up into P11 then, that's 5 positions gained on the first lap, if you include the BMW driver who just gave up. Now up behind this incredible battle between the 2 Supras, Portuguese driver in the Mazda quite slow here, so I decided to push the Belgian through, and this just doesn't work out as I had intended. I was hoping that we could both get through. Obviously it didn't work out. Nissan GTR's behind, smashing each other all about the place, and poor exit, the Mazda ahead, which means we can head up towards the inside, coming down towards the hairpin here, and we're going to get the job done up into P10. And now heading round towards the Death Chicane. What is our fate going to be? Well, we made it through, because we're going to skip forward to this moment here. Lap number 3 now. Still behind the 2 Supras who are going quite hard at it, and just trying to pick a way through. And this can quite often happen. You kind of get caught up in someone else's battle and you can't really pick your way through, even if you feel you're a little bit quicker. It's not quite going to happen here. Through the triple chicane, we can set up a nice little move on the exit here. We've got a nice different line going, and then on the exit, getting the extra momentum, the better line, and it's a great move, well done. And I decided to go defensive here. The Mazda was quite close to our tail, so I felt like, you know what, we're going to preserve our position. Up behind Dory A13, heading towards, you know it, the Death Chicane for the 3rd time in this race. And we're just trying to be nice and consistent. We've made it through here twice already in this race, and we're going to get through. Yes, we are, just about. The Mazda with an incredible run through, loads of momentum carried, and doing a much better job than I did. So back to P10, but this last lap was quite incredible because boom, contact between the 2 of them, So that's 2 overtakes in 0.1 seconds. Thank you very much for that. And would it stop there? No, it wouldn't. Because I don't know if you've heard, this track has the depth chicane. And yeah, there we go. Overtaking, yellow flag. Boom, someone in the wall. And is there someone else slow? There's some smoke. And yes, there's someone else going very slowly indeed. Up into P6. It just had to happen, didn't it? Had to happen. And we crossed the line in 6th place. The best position of them all. 10 positions gained in a 4-lap race. Quite incredible. What a recovery, says this other guy in the chat. And if you felt like that was a good recovery, then watch this one. Because it was 16th to 6th. Not bad at all. Here we're going to be starting 15th. Let's see what we can do. Not quite last, 1 car behind us. But a lot of work to be done from the back of the pack. As we cross the line, we're already 5 seconds behind the leader. So a lot of cars to overtake, a lot of time to make up, and not much time to do it. But let's give it a jolly good attempt, shall we? Now this BMW, not sure what they're doing, really dawdling on the racing line, very slow. So we go past and take our first position of the race. And it wasn't long before we're going to take our second one here, because as you see on the left hand side, someone off, having a nice little rendezvous with the Croatian Barrier. So obviously Barrier, a very popular person here in Croatia. Now here we go then, into the depth chicane, first time around. And you know what? Everyone kind of made it through there just fine, which was absolutely miraculous. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. It might be the first recorded case of that ever happening. And that is quite incredible. Now, let's take a look. Let's take stock of the situation here. P13 is 2 positions gained so far on lap 1, at the end of lap 1. We're going to try and overtake Ayrton here. Senna on his alt account, on his alt British account. And he's going to defend quite hard and quite late into the first corner. Collisions up in front, and we're going to gain 1, 2 and 3 positions for free. Thank you very much indeed. Up into P10 now. Still finding our way through Ayrton, or past Ayrton. I've not really seen an overtake where you go through someone, but we could try and do that for the first time. We're coming down towards the triple chicane. We're going to pull over to the left hand side, up the inside. He's not really having it, and as we go in, he's going to turn in anyway. But there you go. That's P9, and we're making good ground, but there's quite a lot of ground between myself and P8, and quite a big group in P8. Need to try and pull away from the guy behind if at all possible, but there is an almighty gaggle of cars. I think it looks like from 2nd all the way to 8th in one big group, and that surely is not going to be a happy ending for most of them as they come through the depth chicane in close proximity. Visibility is... oh, there we go. There's proof. Yeah, so we have 2 people facing sideways on the apex of the depth chicane. Beautiful stuff. And is there someone else slow on the exit? Yes, there is. Looks like the Supra has had an incident as well. So that's 3 cars in about 3 seconds, and it looks like there's someone else here with a 5-second penalty. Have they got damage? Let's see how slowly they come out of this corner. Yeah, very slow indeed. So they've got damage as well. 5-second penalty. So 4 overtakes there because of the depth chicane. And we're up into P5. We've overtaken 10 cars in 2 laps, which is ridiculous. 5 cars per lap on average. Quite incredible. In fact, we overtook, I think it was 8 cars on that lap. 8 cars in 1 lap. And we still have some ground to make up here. P4 here for the taking. Let's see if we can catch up with the Frenchman. Go for the move. You might have just caught a glimpse of P3 there with a penalty, and therefore P3 is absolutely possible here. Let's see if we can do it. Down into the triple chicane, roll off the brakes, back on the power. Once you're on the power, try not to come off it all the way through here, and then into the slipstream. Maximise that as we head down towards the hill into the braking zone, braking pretty much at the start of this curb on the left, about 150 metres before the corner. That's actually a little bit late on this occasion, maybe carrying a bit more speed than normal because of the slipstream. Let's see what happens then through the chicane. Lap number 3 or 4. Are we going to have any incidents here? No, everyone getting through just fine. Oh my goodness, a big sideways moment for the French player there. With another French player just behind. There's someone is slow there. That is Please Fix penalty. Serving a penalty. And obviously their name coming in very true at this moment in time. So here we go then. The battle for P3 firmly in the slipstream now as we begin lap 4 of 4. Across the line we go. And we've got the run, we've got the momentum, we've got the right-hand side for this right-hander. And there's a bit of contact on the apex as we go through, but I'm going to give a bit of space on the inside there. We are going to move up into P3. Started 15th, now we're in 3rd. Really courtesy of the sheer amount of destruction in this race. Absolutely incredible scenes, but now we need to try and pull away from these players behind to make sure that we can't get overtaken again before the end of the race, as it can easily happen. You never know with the slipstream, with the chicanes around this circuit. So through the triple one now, carrying the speed through, and it's an enjoyable chicane when you get it right, which for me is not most of the time, unfortunately. But we've actually pulled away slightly there, almost out of slipstream range, about 7 tenths ahead. If we can get this corner right, then we might be in a very good position. And one more attempt of the fabled, the infamous chicane. Can we do it without fumbling and crashing into Barry R? Let's see if we can do it. Lifting off the brakes, playing it nice and safe over the curbs. GTR taking it pretty well. And that's going to be P3. P3 in a race where we started 15th and only lasts 6.5 minutes. This race is less than 7 minutes in length, overtaking 12 cars. Quite crazy really when you think about it, but that is just the nature of this circuit. And all the way to the line there was a battle behind, but there it is, P3 ultimately in this race, and 12 positions gained. Quite crazy, really quite crazy. And there's only one way to sum this race up really, and that is Le Mans. But I wanted to watch the replay because this was so interesting. With a race with so many incidents, it's so good to go back and see just the sheer amount of destruction. The first victim really was this guy who got a little bit loose on that curb, ends up in the wall, getting a penalty as well for good measure. So that was the first victim. This was the first lap through the death chicane. You can see everyone pretty much made it through there just fine, which was really quite a strange occurrence, because I think if there's a lap that people are going to crash, it's probably the first one. But the second lap, big crash there, the guy in the black car that just braking way too late. That's where I went through and gained 3 positions. Then unfortunately this guy losing it on the curb, and the BMW actually losing control there. Let's see how that came about as we hit the apex of turn 1 in the second part, and then it's just a really innocuous spin on the exit. Very much an unforced error there. And then this is where things really began to kick off. Lap 2 into the chicane. This Mercedes must be laughing his head off, because the two cars in front just go flying into the wall. It looked really weird. Look from the onboard camera, it just goes flying through the Subaru. Absolutely incredible scenes. This is what it looked like on board from the Subaru. Now this is really weird because some sort of magnetic force field around the chicane here. It looks like he doesn't actually hit it. It's really strange. There is some sort of force field, gravitational force field. So it is evidence here that this chicane does have some sort of strange properties which defy physics. And there we go. You see there the black and yellow GTR getting caught up in it. So it looked like this car ghosted out, but obviously not long enough, because we can see it here when we go on board with the GTR. So the two cars are going to ghost out, but not just in time for this guy to get a ton of damage from actually hitting the Supra. And then this guy actually got quite unlucky as well, a bit further back, going into the back of that car. So literally like 5 cars involved in one sort of incident, and that's really how I managed to gain so many positions so quickly, because so many cars just got caught up. Now this incident was quite interesting. This is where I went up the inside of Ayrton Senna, and And I really felt like he just turned in, even though I was definitely there. Bit of a late move, maybe, but he forced us very narrow, as you can see. I don't know, it was a weird one, but I felt like he just turned in, even though I was definitely there. A little bit later on, this was quite weird. It was quite funny, actually, to be honest. This whole saga of Ayrton Senna, because it really develops. He runs this guy into the wall, just scrapes him off, like a piece of dirt on your shoe. A little bit later on, this guy comes back for revenge, tries to go round the outside, which would not be advisable in my opinion, given that this guy ran you wide 1 lap ago. But as we come up into, well, you know where, it's not actually going to end well for Ayrton Senna, unfortunately, as he's actually going to get pushed on the apex by the car behind him. And I think you can see it here as we go through. Boom, there, a little touch, but it's enough to send him round into the wall, spiralling, doing a nice 720 spin. And this guy was the one who got the penalty and the damage. So you got the damage from hitting the Supra, then got a 5-second penalty for doing that, which was really not his fault at all. Quite aggrieved from that, perhaps then pushing Senna around into the wall. And then actually getting a nice healthy 10 seconds penalty in total. Now this moment here was just hilarious to me, because obviously this guy spins round and in his attempt to try to face the right way, smashes into the wall, gets a 1.5 second penalty, reverses into the wall again, gets another penalty, hits the wall again, now on 4.5 seconds of penalties, reverses again and gets another 1.5 second penalty, 6 seconds, because he couldn't do a 3-point turn. Really, I mean, that's just the worst 180 attempt I've ever seen. And maybe it was the incredible force fields of the chicane affecting his judgment, but I don't know. Then there's a Supra out of nowhere. That's how this happened on the final lap, getting a really good run and then forcing his way through the centre and causing a fair amount of carnage. This guy thinking, what the hell, where did that car come from? And then there was drama all the way to the line here, as the Supra then, well, the GTR gets a run on the Supra and actually gets bundled off into the wall right the way to the end. But wow, what an incredible race. So much drama from start to finish, I'm sure you'll agree. But I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I shall catch you next time. Goodbye.